Hello, friends. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about heeding advice exactly as it's given to you. Many times over the years, I've had people ask me for advice and they don't follow the advice exactly as given to them. They instead say, well, I know you suggested this, but I went with the cheaper option. And then you hear from them a few weeks later or months later, it didn't work out. I don't understand. Why does it work for you? Well, because you didn't do what I said. You took what I said, changed it around, and brought it into a place of failure. If you'd followed exactly as it was given to you, you would have found success. And I've seen this too many times where people try to get advice. And if you're in a position to need advice, you probably are not in the position to make changes to the advice given because you simply don't know enough. Now, you may get to that point, and that's great. But if you need advice right now, follow the advice. If you're taking someone's advice that you trust enough to ask for advice, take their advice and follow it exactly. Even if that advice doesn't seem to make sense on the surface, because you're not in a position to know enough to know whether that will work or not. And many times the things that don't make the most sense on the surface from an outward perspective, if you're not in that business, in that field, and you don't have experience with it, those things actually work perfectly. And the conventional wisdom approach fails miserably. So when you have someone willing to give you advice, take that advice exactly. Don't make any changes to it. When I was young, I asked advice from various people, and I took their advice and applied it immediately and exactly. And that was very important in my success. Now, not every time did it work out. There's various reasons why it didn't work out. But I didn't take detours from what they suggested and think I knew more than they did. If I'm asking them for advice, I obviously don't know more than they do. Why would I be asking them? So I took their advice, applied it exactly, and found success. If you take advice given by people that you respect and asked for advice in the first place, and then you change it and tweak it and think you know more than they do, or that doesn't make sense, or they told me something that really wouldn't work, you are going to end up in failure. You'd be better off just not asking in the first place. And I've had people ask me for advice. I give them advice, they don't do it, or they tweak it and change it and make it into a failure. And then they want to ask me advice again. It's like, why would I give you more advice when you don't listen in the first place? And then the advice that I do give you, you change it, make it into failure, and then blame me for your failure, for your own self-sabotage. Why would I want to give you additional advice when you are only going to either ignore the advice completely or change in such a way that causes it to fail, and then you're going to blame me for your failure? I've had people blame me for their failures when they didn't take my advice. Well, you should have pressed me harder to take your advice. This is where it becomes a serious issue. If you're not willing to take the advice, people can't make you. If you're going to change it around, you can't blame other people because you chose to do something different. My friends, follow the advice exactly as given. Don't think you know more. If you knew more, you wouldn't be asking them. Somebody would be asking you. So you're asking them for advice. Take the advice. Don't tweak it. Don't change it. Don't morph it. Don't detour into something else that you think sounds better. Do what they said, or simply don't ask them in the first place. The willingness to take advice and act on it immediately and not detour from what was suggested is very, 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 very valuable to your success, especially when you're new, when you're getting started. As you get more mature in your business and your business endeavors and entrepreneurial venture, you will find things that you can tweak here and there. You get advice, you can make little changes here and there. But especially when you're new and you're having to ask for that advice, don't make changes. Just go with the advice as given, or don't do it at all. But don't tweak it and try to make it into something else and end yourself up in failure. You'd be better off to either take the advice exactly as given or reject it completely, because some advice may be wrong. And that's perfectly fine to reject it. But when you start trying to tweak and change things that somebody gave you that worked for them, you're going to make a mistake. I hope this has been a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.